when YouTube changed their interface yet again. Well, hello, welcome. Okay, so welcome to another live paint and chat. We're in the last Wednesday of the whole year, so we're almost there. I have decided that tonight I will be painting the Twilight Sisters, and I have found a solution to this dumb focus issue that my camera keeps doing. So first off, we have, I believe it's a Grona. I've sort of started her just to kind of get some of the base coating out of the way. You know, just seemed better to do that. So yeah, this is a Grona, and then the other one is Hadron, I believe is how it might be said. Not totally sure. So they're twins, as you haven't been able to, you know, in case it wasn't obvious before. They might look a little bit more aged one over the other, but there's a reason for that. And then this is kind of what they look like painted by not me. So that's where we're at so far. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. So thank you to everybody who has come here tonight. So super appreciate you being here. Paul, thank you as always for being my wonderful moderator. Hammer, welcome. Todd, how you doing, man? Appreciate you being here, as well as Thomas and Robert. Hi, Alfonso, Viper Taha, and Kristen, and Mr. Pilak. And okay, let's get that started. So for all of my Grymkin, I always do their base in a purple with a black wash over it because they always have this sort of ethereal effect going on. So I'm finishing getting my somewhat aged purple paint along the bottom here. So that's what I've been starting and sitting on doing. And I wasn't totally sure what was going to happen tonight because my World of Warcraft raid was trying to see if they could raid tonight instead of tomorrow, which would have made things a little awkward. So that didn't happen. We'll be raiding on Sunday after the new year has started and everybody's gotten whatever their plans are. So, Right, so there we go. Nice base coat on here of my purple because it's nice to have a little bit of a color-coded theme going on. I've already resurrected my wrought iron folk art paint, so you guys don't have to witness that horror of me doing that again. Alfonso, I want to thank you again for the really nice brush, which I haven't opened yet, and the brush cleaner, which I used tonight for the first time. In fact, I've got this here. So for Christmas, I guess, I got this handy dandy brush cleaner. So I don't know if you guys all use it in the chat or not. Oh my god, freaking cat. But I got to try it out tonight. So it's an actual soap for your brush, and I realized how dirty my brush was. So that was a good lesson, and it's less dirty now, but I think it actually needs some additional washes, which of course will have to happen after tonight's stream. But I was really able to do a lot to recover this brush here. It had a lot more, let's use that thing again. It had a lot more of a dark band in there before, but all of that in there, that's just paint gunk, so I need to finish washing it out. So it's about half of what it was, but you know, then I had to get on with painting. So that's what happened. Oh man, let's see here. How does it feel to be living in the future? Oh England, it's already the 31st here. There you go. Screw the net. I hear ya. Donald, are you excited for the slaughterhouse? No, that sounds terrible. I'm also not totally familiar. I've been admittedly pretty outside of the scene lately. I've kind of gone down some rabbit holes in a whole other, yet another hobby I have. So I've been distracted. So what are you talking about? Let's see. Ashley says hi. Oh, I love Ashley. I hope she's doing all right. Love painting. I have to paint Nemesis, Lockdown, and MD2. Dead Space Engineer. Nice. What brush did you get? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have it here, and again, I haven't opened it because it's super fancy and I'm intimidated, but it's a Series 7 Fancy Pants. So I super appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll open it at some point. It's gonna go sit next to my Bane blade for now. Of things that I'm like, you gotta earn this, gotta get past this. But you know what? I think it's probably a good opportunity to kind of take stock of some of the positive things that we've gotten out of this year, new things we've learned, hopefully new skills we've acquired, things like that. Oh, the Grymkin Gargantuan. No, let me look at that right now because that sounds interesting. Grymkin Gargantuan Slaughterhouse. I'm not fat fingering that. Okay. Oh my god. What? It's a house with hands? Give me that. Oh my gosh. Oh man, so it's kind of like a huge upgrade on the Witchwood, huh? Oh man. I really need to catch up on this because I know they had some Iron Kingdom's Requiem information that I meant to read and then share with you. And I ran out of time. Story of my life. Let's see here. Wow. Oh my god, it's so cool. They have the little 3D image. I wonder if I can share that with you. Let me see. Let's see. Window capture. Add that, I guess? Yeah, sure. Isn't that cool? I think that's super cool. So there you go. That's the slaughterhouse that I apparently was super unaware of until just now. So thank you for sharing that with me because yeah, that is super awesome. Holy cow. Ah, well yes, now I am. Orcs will rule in 2021. Hi everyone. Hi. Hey Steve, welcome. I use it, it's like shampoo and conditioner for your hair. They mostly are made from real hair after all. Good point. Yeah, I use Master's brush cleaner. I heard of the Da Vinci brush cleaner today as an alternative. The Slaughterhouse. Yeah, it does. What is Slaughterhouse? This is a video game? It is also a video game, actually, but that, oh yeah, and Splatterhouse. All houses should come with arms for hugging, like the Slaughterhouse. Well, that thing's glorious. Oh my gosh. It looks like a paint portal in the door. It's the house from that one Halloween animated movie. Mini Ninja. Hello. Happy holidays. Putting together my Aliens minis from Gale Force 9 game. Aliens are rather fiddly to assemble. Ooh, I imagine. So yeah, what are you guys working on tonight? Obviously, I'm working on the Twilight Sisters, and while it's not technically the last day of the year where I am, I know it is for some of you, Paul. If we were in the Iron Kingdom's world, the longest night is the last night of the year in that world, which I guess would have technically been on December 21st. So in the Iron Kingdom's world, we're already in the new year. And, you know, between the 21st and now, things haven't totally fallen apart. I'll take that. Anyway, we'll just see what we get in the new year. Grymkin Archon looking great too. Yeah. Yeah, that one does. That's the Menite one, right? That they, for lack of a better word, looted. But yeah, they've kind of captured and converted. Okay. But yes, that's where I'm at. So we're kind of starting off on these ladies. And I'm pulling up a reference picture so I can work from that, which is the picture I've got here. So I can kind of get started there. It's nice to have the bottom base done because then you just sort of feel like you have less work ahead of you. So let's see. I like the idea of putting just a splash of color on them and then otherwise being kind of subtle, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's been a long day already. Been Finishing the Keeper of Secrets. Oh, nice, Andrew. Trying to get back to the Lord of Change. Rin, final touches on the Sister Battle and Space Wolves. Both for Kill Team. She just likes coming. She literally was not meowing at all until I started talking to this computer. And then she thinks she needs to talk. Just sitting here mimicking. Anyway. Painting Boba Fett for Star Wars. Jeremy Bullock, OG Boba actor. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's ready to pass away. Well, that's nice of you to work on, Shell. Dave Dog, I have 8 of 12 Blood Bowl Elfheim Eagle to do, and they have been a nightmare. 8 of 20 to do, which means you're more than halfway through, hopefully. Samuel, hi, I'm working on an Italian wedding cake. I just got out of the oven. Oh, nice. There's a fair bit of art to that, too. Who else is looking forward to the new sculpts for BattleBox casters? Always fun to have new models. Painting the WizKid Sphinx just for fun. Very cool. Well, so you guys sound like you're off to a great start and having a great night. Oh, I need to paint this hat. Let's paint this hat with my recovered paint. It's starting to get a little gloopy. Glurpy. Ooh, yeah, we might throw some more medium in there. But, yeah, I mentioned these are one of my favorite parts of the week. Well, I guess bi-week. It's been super hectic, so this is like when I get to sit down and concentrate on stuff, and that's nice. Alright, so we're going to throw some more medium in here, which I am literally just copying the dude from the GW video and how he did it, so that I'm not hopefully oversaturating it with this medium. I honestly don't know. I feel like it doesn't matter what I do to this paint because it's terrible. Start a Patreon for your cat and retire. I'd have to actually do stuff with that cat. That cat's probably warning us of 2021. The apocalypse is coming. They discovered a comet they hadn't seen. It was hiding behind a black hole that's expanding toward Earth. And I go, oh, sure. I feel like everybody's so bomb-proofed at this point, like Cthulhu could legitimately be revealed and everybody would just be like, okay, sure. And then, of course, whip out their cell phones and, you know, just harass Cthulhu with selfies and pictures and all that. It's like, what a different age. I feel like gamers have definitely removed the scare factor of all of the H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Too many people think it's cool. And be like things on the news where they tell you to not chase tornadoes. Be like, stop chasing Cthulhu, guys. He's actually dangerous. Be hilarious. I look forward to Cthulhu. Cthulhu in 2021. Let's do it. And it would make sense if he popped out of New Mexico, because while we don't have an ocean, we used to be an ocean, and he is terribly ancient. So I think it works. Brandon J, welcome. I am working on some bases for my Ogre Maw Tribe's AOS army. Anxiously awaiting the release of Stargrave next year, along with receiving my copy of Zombicide 2nd edition. Wait a minute. Haven't they had 2nd edition? Like, I thought Zombicide had like 400 editions at this point. What am I missing? Or is it just like all new rules? I don't know. I haven't followed Zombicide in a while. Like, perfectly fun game. It's just not something I own, or I'm actually pretty bad on most of the board games. My other friends have collected those. Slightly less crap to have in my house. Getting this hat nicely painted, of course, with my zombie paint, which I think is appropriate for, is it Agra or Agora? I think Agora. There we go. I'll give you guys a status update in just a second. I need to figure out, she's got white hair, so we're going to go with a gray and a white dry brush, because I have learned more about these techniques over the year. I've also mixed paint, which is something I hadn't done prior years, so Paint and Chat has made me bold enough to do that. Mandragora, hey! Welcome. Finished a cavalry. We'll share epic later. Ooh. I'm excited. So, a whole cavalry unit? Just buy yourself a big bottle of Vallejo matte medium, thin your paint. It's not GW contrast. Sounds good. Moon could explode and people would just be meh, saw it coming. I already heard about this on Reddit. Right? I mean, how desensitized have we really become? It's a little concerning. Oh, she has a hand on her belt. She's ready for 2020. With her little bag of tricks there and her, I mean, she's got some cool stuff. Let me see if I can point it out without this being a horrible mess. All right, let's get ourselves a nice background to work from. So, looking at her bag of tricks, she's got a cauldron, right, with little critters. Let me see, a cobra and other tentacles. It may or may not be attached to anything. We'll see. And then on her little apron there, yep, that's a hand. And then a ladle, which she uses to ladle out tentacles, which does seem like an inadequate tool for the job, so maybe she doesn't do that. Maybe she just bonks you on the head with it. We'll see. So that's what's going on here. No, it's a layered cake chock full of pecans, coconut, and crushed pineapple. Why would you ruin a beautiful cake like that with all of those things? Gotta cool down so I can put the topping on it. Oh man. Yeah, pretty much. New rules, more minis. Oh, okay, got it. Is it a hand on her belt or one of those magic monkey paw things? No, I'm pretty sure she just carries a hand, you know, when she doesn't feel like touching things herself. They hadn't invented like nitrile gloves or latex gloves in the Iron Kingdom's world. So what you can do is you just enchant somebody else's hand to touch things for you, like opening doors and picking things up. So you don't have to mess your hand up. It's really quite hygienic. And I feel like her apron should have a little bit of a girly color to it. Now, already there's a lot of purple theme in the Grymkin series, so I'm thinking maroon, red, or maybe a green. So she's got a few choices here, but I do want this to be sort of a place for a pop of color. It seems like that would be nice. Since I haven't made that decision yet, let's go ahead and get some gray on our hair. Fire them. Hello. Only a little late. Yeah. Barely late at all. You're fine. So I'm just painting away my little models. Twilight Sisters, weren't you and Joy Berry going to cosplay the Warhammer Fantasy Battle Wood Elves pair of the same name? I remember you or Joy saying that once years ago. That must have been her. I was never informed of this. However, I would have been on board for sure. I've been seeing Joy on Instagram lately. She's so cute. I miss her. But she seems to be handling the lockdown better than me. Let's see. So this is that her hair? Well, that's her hair. But she's got like a, oh, I see. So she's got like a drape on over it. Determining the clothes that people are wearing in their models is never quite as simple as you think it would be. I also have to reapply her flesh tone because it's extremely thin and she shouldn't look quite that sickly. So, working on that too. It's also always awkward painting gray on gray primer, but well, it is what it is. So we're just gonna throw that nice dark gray on her hair, then dry brush some nice white over it for really strong contrast, but more of an aged look instead of the more fashionable white gray hair that those millennials are wearing now. I guess technically I'm one, but not in my heart. I miss the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yes, fair. blood spattered smock, maybe. I feel like she's, they were twin sisters who were, not super ungirly. She's very vibrant, and while she is she's sort of magically aged, even though she's immortal, I feel like she would be better put together than just having like splatters and mess everywhere. That's more of like if you're crazy, and the Grymkin aren't crazy, they're just odd. They have a logic to them. Carry an extra hand because you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. Wow. If you haven't tried it, you should have some. Italian wedding cake is unbelievably moist, flavorful, and downright fantastic, in my humble opinion. But it's full of all kinds of awful things. It's really hard to get past that part for me, Samuel. Anytime my cake has to crunch, it's just a lot less appealing. More of like that homogenized, smooth, consistent throughout, like a sponge cake. You're just like, nope, I know exactly what's in it. Or like a yellow cake with nothing else except just the yellow cake. The only issue, I'm sure the cake is delightful, but it's just crunchies in it. And pineapple you have to be really careful for. Who here has mastered Vallejo liquid putty? With that stuff you can snap off and rip off miniature plastic limbs. Oh my gosh, is that supposed to be like a competition to green stuff? Italians are distant cousins, but I've never really known any and never been invited to an Italian wedding. Actually, do you all prefer working from paint pots or bottles? Well, I think it's probably more appropriate to work from bottles, or at least put something into a palette. And in my case, I'm in a very dry environment, so paints dry out a lot and quickly, whereas like a more moist environment may not deal with that. But I guess just having your paint pots open and exposed to the air, you probably are like shortening the lifespan of them. And I sort of say that in semi-quoties because I've got really old paint that still works. So however you're shortening the lifespan, however much you're shortening the lifespan by, does not seem to be terribly concerning, in my opinion. Is this Malifaux you're painting? No, this is actually, these are Privateer Press models from the Hordes miniature game. So you've got War Machine and Hordes, and these are the faction known as the Grymkin. And the Grymkin, yes, they do seem to have a lot of overlap with, they do have a lot of similarity to Malifaux, because Malifaux has that sort of gothic horror going on for it. And the Grymkin, like my first impression of it was, oh, they're making a Malifaux faction. And they're sort of like these creatures that came from the underworld, essentially, like long time ago. These beings that were made by Menoth sort of ascended on their own and gained power and wisdom and rebelled against Menoth, got banished because Menoth does not put up with that. And then they sort of grew in the darkness of Arcane, and they had no protection, and they had to fend for themselves, and millennia later, they sort of come back out, and they were brought back by the Old Witch to fight the Infernals, which in my opinion happened successfully. And, but they are a faction based on sort of the sins of humanity. Like if you were a glutton and, just a generally bad person in the world of Cain, then you'd die or be taken by the Grymkin, and then you'd come back as, this pig riding an imp, and you were infantry and for the Grymkin as part of their soldiers. But all of the people within the army, all of your infantry were sort of bad people in life that are now being punished. It's kind of the very broad theme of it. And the Twilight Sisters actually date back super, super far. They're not the oldest of the Grymkin, but they do go back to when the Defiers were still on Cain before being banished. And but they were just mortals, really, until like their parents were killed by like Tharn, and then they went and sought out power, and the Dreamer ended up giving them some power to grant wishes, essentially. And so while she doesn't have a monkey's paw, she in herself kind of is one, because when you are dealing with sort of deep dark magic, the price you pay is never the one you think you're going to pay, and that's kind of the theme they have, right? Like the be careful what you wish for. But I liked aesthetic of Grymkin. I really liked the moxie of them, and I love the fact that they are a limited faction, so you can actually end up collecting everything, because despite having Khador for 10 years, I still don't have everything because there's so many models, and so it feels very attainable. The other thing is, and why I was kind of excited about painting them, is I'm almost done painting all of my Grymkin. Like, I have a handful of models left before that whole faction is done, until I buy another one, like the Slaughterhouse, because wow. But you know, it's manageable, I should say. So it's kind of easy to stay motivated when you're like, oh, I've only got a few models of this left, and then my whole army's painted. So that's been my motivation. There you go. Biorhythm also answered your question. I did. Just eat pudding. I happen to like pudding. And yes, I'm a boring eater. I love boring food, so. Crunchy on cake is bad except for shaved almond flakes. Well, to each his own, Mandragora. Going over the weathering guide for Boba's armor for authenticity on dents and scrapes. I hadn't noticed before, but it seems someone attempted to shoot him in the gentleman's area. Huh, that's a nice touch. Andrew just grabbed some paint and closed the paint pot. It's amazing how often YouTubers complaining about GW paint pots also leave them open. Yeah, probably. Found out the hard way that the P3 paint pots, while the paint is good, the rubber lids can turn brittle and crumble, leaving you with untopped pots. Oh no, how long did it take for that to happen? I guess mine are all pretty new, so they seem fine. Plus the material may have changed since you last got them. Spanish puddings are dire. Roscon at Christmas, which is like a very dry, sweet, what is it, brioche dough? I think you French and Americans call it king cake. Already speaking outside of my experience. I normally paint from the pot, says Paul. I generally only thin my paint pots if it's a model for someone else. Yeah, well, you've done very well for that, haven't you, Paul? If you don't thin, you lose detail. Well, unless you already work with terribly thin paints as it is. So, just saying. Mr. LG Duke, welcome. Sorry, I've been back for a while. I'm not always up at this time. Appreciate you being here. We're making a Malifaux faction. We in production thought the same thing, right? And if you go back to the old, like the Witchblade trilogy and such, Witchblade, Witchfire trilogy, there's mention of Grymkin, like goblins from another world, but it wasn't like super high detail information. And then they sort of came and brought it back. It was a bit of a surprise faction, but I found it to be the most interesting. I know a lot of people love Crucible Guard, and that's fine. But as somebody who is used to painting all of the chunky boys for Khador, it just didn't have the same appeal. I'm like, yeah, you know, you got cool steampunk, but I'm just tired of painting big round iron balls. It sounded great, but anyway, so the Grymkin ended up getting me a good option. Plus, I finally got the chance of playing Hordes, which is really a fun rule set and kind of superior. PP just announced the PP Gargantuan. The Grymkin Gargantuan. Yes, he's so amazing. But if it's a flat surface with no detail, you can get away with straight from the post, but you will get streaks. You know, this medium has had an interesting effect on my terrible paint here. In fact, I'll grab this again. If you look at her hat, there's like a couple of thin spots in there from where the paint kind of didn't fully cover, or there's a little bit thinner areas. But without that Latham medium, it actually gets super, super streaky. So I might suggest having something like the medium to help smooth out that streak issue. I'm sure it depends on the paints, but it really did kind of even things out where it wasn't streaky, in my experience. And you can kind of see it again here on her dress. So, and it looks a lot better than it natively looks. Yeah, so Paul seems to rarely get them, at least. Alurian, welcome! Happy New Year, almost. We're getting there. Yes, let's hope for an awesome 2021. I think we've earned it. I'm putting together my first Warhammer minis tonight. I shall always be loyal to Khador, but finding a War Machine group in my area is quite the hassle. I hear ya. Really, it's probably just, but yeah, I mean, enjoy your Warhammer minis. Those are super fun too. And at the end of the day, a war game sort of lives based on its meta. And so if there aren't people around, it's really hard to keep a game going. So, any news on Valhalla in the fall 2021? I have a meeting on it into the new year, so more on that to come, but we're just sort of figuring out how scheduling would work as of right now. 5 of them. Not sure how long it took to brittle, maybe a year. Grabbed a lot of paints and I didn't need it at the time and found out the hard way after my paint area is in the basement, so how could it have been dry air? Well, yeah, that was my next question, would be if it was exposed to UV, because I mean, obviously the sun will make plastic really brittle, but if it was in a basement, that's super weird. Hobby-wise, I bought an orc warband earlier this afternoon. Never painted orcs before. I thought I'd give them a go. Well, orcs are super fun because you can really get as creative as you want with them because they're such chaotic beings. The part of me is stalling because I haven't decided what color I want her apron to be. I guess I can paint her cauldron. What color do I want to paint the cauldron? Probably that same ironwood color, the wrought iron color. If you add medium like water without flow improver, the surface tension of the paint is uneven, therefore the distribution of the paint pigment is not uniform. Right, so medium though is designed to be even, right? Without flow improver, I don't know if this Lamian medium does that or not. I'm like, oh, I've learned so much about painting this year, and then you guys are like, wow, if you do this stuff with this medium and then you work on the flow, I'm like, oh, never mind. I don't know anything about painting. It's fun, and I put goop on these things, and then it's a different color. How about that? Anywho, let's paint a cauldron. So that should probably have a nice yellow, or we'll do a silver buckle there, but get the underside of it behind it to be that lovely color. And let's just get this all over. Cauldrons are fun. Great way to hold things, you know. A little weighty, but hard to argue with the cargo space. So yeah, I haven't even played with these girls yet, actually, so they'll get to see a game at some point in 2021. So crazy. It's like everybody's kind of been waiting for this year to be over, but still feels like it went quickly to me. But I kind of worked the entire time, and I actually worked like a lot more on top of that. So, ho hum. But all the same, this year has been awful, and it can go away now. Let's see. That. So anyway, we've got about 10 minutes before I ask for a progress check from you all. See where you're at with your minis or whatever project, your cake that I'm sure is perfectly delicious. I mean, obviously, I'm sure. Like, you know what you certainly sound like you know what you're doing. So, it's further along than I'd be. Although I have had some hand at baking in the past. I made one of those Captain America cakes once, where you do the cake in a bunch of layers and you sort of cut it in such a way so that when you layer them on top of each other, you have like the American flag, and then I did a star on top of it in icing. It was probably the fanciest cake I've ever made. And I did that once, and I was like, well, that's a lot of work. Let's never do it again. It's fun to get up the energy to do like something really difficult like once. But then I don't know how people do that on a regular basis. See here, you're getting a lot more streaking of the paint, so it's not as impressive this go around. Get some of that. Repaints. I found storage life is totally random. I have a brown that's separated into half oil for no reason, a skin that turned to a rock, and a Christmas Noel green that turned into powder. Okay, yeah, that's quite a surprising amount of things to happen. Misery Bear, welcome. No, medium is just like liquid plastic. It's the liquid plastic and all acrylic pigment paint floats in. Oh, okay. Liquid plastic. Andrew, you should be proud of your hobby progress, Miranda. You've gone from craft paints to actual paints. Except so far I've only painted this with craft paints, but thank you. I've found Citadel Ceramite White becomes a solid block of paint as soon as it leaves the store. Do you magnetize your models? Hi, Tiger Bone. I'm about to try my hand at it for the first time, and I was wondering if you had any sagely advice. Magnetizing is a pain, and I think people who get into it really tend to overdo it. Like, if you take a General War Beast, because it can be one of 3 types of models, people are like, oh, I'll magnetize it so I can kind of always swap it out. And in my experience, that invariably leads to just losing pieces, because the magnets never seem to quite be strong enough, and they're never consistent. You'll have like one really great magnet and you put the same one on the other side and it's just a wimpy magnet. So my only advice to it would just be restraint, especially until you're more confident in it. And the other thing is, and I don't know if you guys have a suggestion for an ideal glue, because I've only ever super glued them in, but it does seem like those magnets, on bigger pieces anyway, want to pop out. So if there's any way to like put it into the plastic and then cover that plastic with something that's like permanently glued so that the magnet has to go through that, I have found that to certainly last longer, but that's also a significant amount more work. So that, I mean, it's like, no, do it if you want to try your hand at it. It's just I have found the difficulty of it to outweigh the value of it in my experience. Slimy ball of white plastic that is unfixable if you stab it with a toothpick and then add lots of medium and water. Yeah, who does that? Weirdo. Be careful with polarity. Yes, listen to Samuel. It's a longer shelf life than the one I got. I opened it after buying it and it was chalk. What is this painting experience? So that means it probably sat at the store a long time before you bought it. Mainly play Signar and some Trolls. Got new girlfriend the Scorn starter for Christmas, and first game last night. I think I have a convert. She's already painting more than me. That's awesome. Hey Kahneman, how was your Christmas? Hope you had a wonderful time, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Me too. Christmas was fine. It was very quiet and a little lonely, but it was fine. Mandragora regarding limited factions. That's part of what attracted me to Circle. I like Thorn, but the Druids bore me. I like the Griffins, but not the Satyrs or the Constructs. Yeah, and I guess with Circle, you can kind of pick your avenue as long as you're careful about your Warlock. But man, I really liked the Constructs. I always thought they had like this cool look. Terribly underpowered, but just fun-looking dudes. Oh man, I got some chat to catch up on. Let's See, not bought any recently, though. The price seems to have skyrocketed, and I can't get a lot that isn't just more stuff I already have too many of. Like Warp Wolves and Argus. Let's see. Okay, so Dave Doggs, and he's really good. At least I think so, because he always sounds like he knows what he's doing on my chat. So I would listen to him. Where did it go? Oh my gosh, I literally copied it. Oh, there it is. So on magnets, use a hand drill and be very careful with the angle. Oh yeah, and the depth in which you bore the hole. Then use Bob Smith Industries Insta Plus glue. Just slide the magnet off and an X-Acto blade into the hole. So sounds like proper technique, especially making sure that you kind of come in at a perfect right angle, because otherwise it can get wonky. Baking cakes is an art form that you can eat. Yeah, much less clutter, I imagine. Let's see, Mandragora. Yeah, and the way Warmahordes does theme forces is like turning each group into 4 mini factions. So there's almost no reason to have either of my gun mages in my trencher army. I spilt my null oil. Oh no, Cody. We've all been there. It's okay. Just pick it up and carry on. My favorite limited faction so far is Riot Quest. Ha ha ha. Dave, I use Vallejo Surface Primer White Paint for whites and either add Forge World Artist Duller and Rowley or Liquitex White Ink to make it even whiter if need be. I know the horror. I know that experience so well. Literally why I was given one of these as a gift post Valhalla. It's like, well, this should help Miranda proof this a bit, because I'm just not graceful. I've tried to be. I was even a ballerina at one point in my life when I was like 8. But anyway, it's just, I didn't grow into it. Hey Bills, welcome to the chat. We're just chatting about the behavior of paints, what we like about limited factions, and how to magnetize. Will Connell, I magnetized my entire Savage Auric army for AOS for weapon swaps. I agree, restraint is key. I'll never do it again. Yeah, and it's like, that does seem really intimidating. That must have been a lot of hours, dude. See, I used green stuff to surround my magnets. Okay, because there's always that risk of the glue eventually breaking out, right? So I guess, yeah, you could just green stuff over it. That might work well. If you're magnetizing for storage, hot glue under the base. If magnetizing arms, heads, weapons, all I can say is keep track of polarity. Yeah, that would suck. I haven't played Riot Quest yet, but I love the minis. Putting together Scythe and Chuck Dogwood. Let's see, Dave, I'm magnet mad. Use Bob Smith Industries Instacure plus glue with magnets. Seal the magnet with the glue as it sticks out. Bob Smith is an actual god of glue. I have never tried this Bob Smith glue, but I will have to add that to my list of random things to buy the next time I'm at Lowe's, which is pretty often. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to sanitize painted minis without taking off the paint? When you say sanitize, that could be a lot of things. Like if you're worried about COVID, then they have those UV lights that you can put over it, and that won't affect your paint theoretically at all. But if you're talking about like somebody barfed on it, like a small child or something, I don't know. Do you think like compressed air can do most of the work for you? Because at some point, you're going to have to get some water, I would think, on there to clean it off. Sanitize. Yeah, I think we need some clarification on how the sanitization works. I'm considering going to my local shop to play Warhammer 40k in the year to come. If COVID is still active, I want some suggestions on how to clean them. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I would just probably do the light, because the UV lights apparently are, I mean, I'm paraphrasing because I haven't studied it, but as I understand it, they're pretty effective. Including putting like UV filters and stuff in your air conditioning to help clean that stuff, so. 2 layers of varnish, then spray alcohol on them, but do not rub. I just bought that triple pot holder too. It's a godsend. I know. So great for people proving it. I need to get a shade pot holder like that. It's like $8 from the hobby store, but you know, it's really resilient. Unfortunately, it only holds 3 things. Okay, there you go. There you go. So you guys have the information. It's paint pot holder times 1. So, but it's pretty good. It's again, it helps Miranda proof things. I marked the polarity on my magnets, but the darn thing's about to flip over almost every time. Ugh, that sounds so frustrating. Yeah, I got that, hence why I marked them and slid them off the blade of an X-Acto blade with a wooden toothpick. If it flips, your only hope is to pry it out quick. Bob Smith glue is the same glue that every game store has. It's branded with the store logo. Really? Oh, I literally just use super glue gel. Sometimes JB Weld, but that was only because the Old Witch's Scrapjack, the original model, had the worst contact point ever for a metal model, and so he's just sort of standing on one foot, and the rest of his foot is like held on to like his kneecap, and then JB Weld made that better. Let's see. When my son and I first got into War Machine, we tried magnets. We couldn't find magnets small enough. Well, the internet can definitely solve that problem. Compressed air would not sanitize, only clean. Sanitizing means removing all the bacteria. Yeah, no, I get that, but it's like you've got to clean first. If sanitizing due to COVID, I believe it doesn't last long on surfaces, so you can just quarantine them for a few days. Any tips for cleaning brushes? I try my darndest, but most of my brushes fray beyond after a few projects. Well, it just so happens that I recently acquired as a gift, thank you, Alfonso, this stuff. Move that over so I don't block it. Give that a go. People seem to be familiar with it. And there's another kind, Vallejo, I want to say someone mentioned, or Da Vinci. So this is literally just a soap. So it's, you kind of wet the brush, rub it around in there, it lathers and suds up, and I just started using it tonight. Also smells good for cleaning my brushes. So there are brush soaps, and if you are dealing with brushes fraying and getting all gunky, then you definitely need a brush soap. And this one seems pretty good. UV will fade paints over time. Yeah, but I mean, how often are you doing that? Sorry to run back, but I have an early start. And night, Thomas, thanks for being here. Not sure about that. BSI glue is really thin and sets really fast. Say they're Instacure Plus. Not many glues that good. Apparently a glass of water with liquid dish soap works wonders. You can also your hair clay to reform your brushes to a point. Oh, okay. Use a wooden dowel, not an X-Acto knife. UV light sounds like a good idea, but I don't want my paint to fade. Plus, I'm not sure about their effectiveness. I'll do some research nonetheless. Hobby purchases. I keep forgetting I need ordinary clippers from a hardware store. I've been using broken nail clippers for 20 years now. And the air dry clay because I have no oven for Sculpey. Hey, air dry clay is good. I mean, Gorilla Glue, Lock-It Glue, UHU are too thick as super glues and unwieldy, so I skipped them. You're much fancier, hobbier than I am, for sure. On super glue, Goobertown Hobbies has a really great video on the chemistry of cyanoacrylate. The master is the best. Never leave home without it, says Brian Vestal. So we have a, positive ad for the brush cleaner. You can use it and leave the stuff on to protect them if you don't plan on using it for a bit. Oh, well, there you go. Bills. We use a UV sterilizer with our pond filter, and it keeps the floating algae away. Kills it. Where do you get brush soap? I imagine Amazon, like where we get pretty much anything. Maybe hobby stores sell it, but I don't think I've really seen it at my hobby stores. So no promises. I burn superglue cyanoacrylate off a superglue metal applicator. I have, and it gets me high. I wonder if it's creating toxic gas like cyanide. Maybe. crispy. UV light kills biological bacteria. Some supermarkets in Florida have them by their front doors, and some militaries put them in their bunkers. There you go. I mean, I knew there was some information behind it. I don't know exactly, like, my research and all the COVID stuff sort of stopped mid-year when I was like, we're not going to know anything on this until we've had time and the science can actually settle on it, so no point in just keeping up with gossip at this point. So that became my approach. Oh my gosh, she's got some of the weird things. What color do I want? We need a color on this dress. Let's see here. Ember orange. We don't want an orange dress. That would be terrible. Huh, yellow is kind of interesting. Moldy ochre. Mediocre. Oh, mediocre. It was snowing here in Midland today, 2 straight hours, and it was sticking. It stops for 30 minutes and everything melted immediately. Does that in New Mexico all the time. Hobby Lobby has the Master Soap and Michael's. Yeah, well, there you go. Hobby store, just generic hobby store. Huh, digging that color. Oh, we should do a progress check, because I've made terrible progress on mine. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so how are you guys doing? Because I'm basically getting nothing done. I'm just sitting here reading chat and talking about brush soap and UV light and, I mean, just generally hanging out as I am inclined to do. Let's get some brushing on. Look forward to going and washing all my brushes, though. Like, I feel like I'm going to get vastly improved experience out of it. Alright, so we're going to sort of get in a little bit more on her. This is a pretty thin paint. This is one of the Vallejo Flesh Tone, just basic skin tone it says. So we're popping that on there, and I'll kind of move some of that around. Make sure it doesn't settle into her eye sockets or anything. But we want to make sure that she's got enough coverage, because the gray will show through otherwise. And if you had a different base color under it, probably like a nice brown or something, would probably help a lot to support the tint of the color, I guess. I don't know. I'm making stuff up at this point. Like, I've learned a lot about painting this year, but at the end of the day, I'm still, like, very much inclined to getting it done and over. I think I enjoy having done it more than just painting for the sake of it. There we go. Are you in Derby? Do you know Snipe and Wib? That is another YouTube channel. These guys are cool. Didn't know they were in Derby. Alright. I'm actually going to get some. And I probably should have cleaned up that seam line, but whatever. She's put together now. And so this is just me getting another layer on. 2 layers generally covers about what I need, so no big deal. Here, Kansas City, we've only gotten a light dusting of snow, but apparently are guaranteed a full-on blizzard for New Year's. Oh. The Midwest tends to be terribly inconsistent with the weather, and the most deadly place I've lived in, because I've lived in New York, I've lived in Oklahoma, and I've lived in New Mexico, and I'll take New Mexico weather any day of the week. Because, yeah, the Midwest gets those ice storms. Oof. And the power can get knocked out for like a week. So, yeah, that stuff is unpleasant, let's say. Plus, there's enough humidity there to really make that cold bite. We just have very dry weather here, which, you know, Does make a difference, believe it or not, as far as both winter and summer. Does make it feel less miserable. Alright, almost there. So she'll have painted-ish body parts. I'm assembling Warhammer Underworlds. Rothgorn's Man-Trappers? Neat. Base colors are going on indecisive if I want Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi boba. I think Return of the Jedi, but there's part of me that says I'm the only one who will know the difference. Well, that may be, but it's your model, so. The only snow around here are up in the mountains in the Sierra surrounding Madrid, and that's just for skiing and eating good food in the village and seeing the odd wolves. Did you ever live anywhere near where they filmed No Country for Old Men? No, I'm north of that, so New Mexico is about the size of England. That's just a state. And so No Country for Old Men is sort of like West Texas, southeastern New Mexico. That's oil-filled land, and that's where No Country for Old Men was, I believe, actually filmed and set. I am in the central part of the state, which is mountainous, arid, somewhat rain-shadowed, but I'm in sort of a valley area, and so right next to the mountains where we do have some fairly tall pine trees, but then generally everything is kind of scrubby. But the further north you go, then you get the really tall trees and water, and it gets more like traditional foresty, whereas the south area is where it's just very brown, flat. Southeastern part of New Mexico is also where you can get tornadoes. A lot of those countries, like Oklahoma plains, are known, of course, for their tornadoes, just whenever you're dealing with really flat land like that. So I'm about 200, close to 200 miles away from where that is. It just snowed here like a foot. Went from 40s to 10s. Here in Minnesota. Goodness. Hey, Countess Slim, how are you doing? I hope I have a great new year too. I hope you all have a great new year. I really hope that 2021 is an amazing year. No bears left in the United Kingdom, but Spain has a few left. The US has got quite a few. Yeah, we have bears in our mountains here. And where I grew up, in a pretty rural area, we had, I think they were black bears, because they're the smaller ones. So yeah, plenty of bears, bobcats, cougars, and the cats. Snakes, lots of poisonous snakes. We've got Gila monsters, which are kind of fun, and also poisonous. And then we've got all the weird, creepy bugs, like vinegarones, and scorpions. Here in Ohio, I used a brine mix to help keep the roads clear of ice. Sometimes in the spring, all the salt shorts out a power transformer when we get spring rain. Oh, wow, because it's conducting that much. Doesn't it tear up your roads to put all that salt down there? Oh, yeah, No Country for Old Men. So, yeah, like the hotel scene in No Country for Old Men was filmed here in Albuquerque, so I'm like 3 miles away from that, or whenever it was done, or wherever it is. And shared a pic of my cavalry model along with the 2 Raging Heroes minis I cobbled from her. Ooh! Or cobbled her from. Go to Marfa, see the lights. Yep, got bears here in Ohio. We catch them and ship them off to Pennsylvania. Not sure why. Oh, okay, I'll definitely check out the picture here and like as soon as I'm done, Mandragora, because I'm really excited to see it. And I know you do good work. I love me some cougars. I've got urban foxes and hedgehogs in my area, but that's about it. Yeah, we've got like aggressive animals, and it's funny because I always imagine like in Australia, like everything's poisonous is sort of like my generic take on Australia, because when I'd watch like Steve Irwin, it's like, oh yeah, this thing, it's poisonous. This animal here, it's poisonous. This bush here, it's poisonous. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is everything poisonous in Australia? And then of course I watched a lot of nature documentaries growing up too, and a lot of them would take place in Africa. And I just thought every animal in Africa is just angry all the time. Everything was so insanely aggressive. And you can kind of see that. Like in New Mexico, animals are, scrappy and aggressive-ish. We've got some wolves, lots of coyotes. Our roadrunner, which is the state bird. I love our roadrunners. They always just, they look the closest to dinosaurs to me when I think of like dinosaurs eventually falling into the bird category. You mean animals, not the cradle robbers? I meant both. Albuquerque attracts all kinds. Got badgers here, though not many. They're probably our most dangerous wildlife. We do have raccoons. They can be quite aggressive. But yeah, badgers are no joke. Gee, thanks, Krithenet. I can't imagine living in a country where there is no green fields with cows and sheep munching on grass. I say this, but I went down south in Elmira and we got deserts. Where the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns were shot. Oh, nice. You have to be aware on the bushwalks and in the ocean, but Australia isn't as bad as we make it out, except for the snakes. We have all of them. We have a lot of snakes here. We've got like the rattler snakes and such. My wife has bird feeders in the front yard. Once in a while, a hawk stops by for a snack. We have eagles here. Like, we'll see golden eagles. Technically, there are bald eagles around too, but I don't see them very often. Mostly golden eagles, and yeah, we've got some hawks and owls. Owls, they'll take a cat. They have taken my cat. Not this one, but I've had many cats. Oh, I hate raccoons. I always get into fights with them. What is going on in this chat today? I still haven't decided a color. I'm really just stalling. I'm kind of leaning toward this green because it's in front of me. Is that bad? It's not bad. It's a pretty green. Gnarls green. They're part of the wilds. Totally makes sense. Besides, paint so much red all the time. Oh, we've got the sanguine base. Wait a minute. That's really pretty. Let's take a look at that. Just apparently a magpie painter. I'm like, what has caught my eye today? That is what I will paint. Oh, that sanguine base is pretty, but it is so dark. We're gonna go with the gnarls green. Nice, I love badgers from a distance. We're near London, just happen to have some good green spaces nearby. Yeah, no, I love seeing pictures of England and of Europe in general. We have those beautiful green grassy fields. In France too, even. Here, it's different. I mean, I guess like Kentucky and parts of the Midwest can be very green. The Northeast can be very green. But you don't necessarily like have big, wide open fields of green. It's mostly like forests and hills and stuff. Mostly. It's quite a dark green. Do I want that dark a green? I don't know. I haven't decided. Don't laugh. They always come at me and I have to chase or slap them away. You're not kidding me? What is going on where you live? Those are some aggressive animals. Orange and purple go well together. This is true. But this orange is quite cuckoo. Look at this. And it looks very Halloween when you put orange and purple together. Like, kill that light so you can get a better sense of it. This ember orange, like, I don't know, man. That's pretty bright. Surprising amount of yellow on Boba, which means undercoating in pink. Hot pink Boba Fett. Love it. Had an opossum in the garage a couple years ago. Looks like a giant albino rat to me. We caught it and released it unharmed. You are a good person, Bills. I'm sure the animal had no concept of what you were doing. It was just mad the whole time, but we know what you did. Iosian green. Oh, it's very bright though. I don't know. Let's peel it off. Sorry. I'm in the middle of decision paralysis here. Oh, we've also got this Ordic green. Gosh, I really love that emeraldy green color, like that beautiful Kelly green. Don't know if that's quite appropriate. Ordic olive? Lighter. That's a vivid orange. That's perfect, Dynamo. Oh, I don't know. A little more pucey. I can't decide. I'm doing terribly. There's also Cador Red Highlight, which is a little more red than that Ember Yellow or Orange. Again, kill that light. Whew, that's cuckoo. So you can see those two different colors as well. Very pumpkin-y here. Well, I mean, I would kind of take that as more of the Halloween color, but you can try it. Guess I can just paint over. I have literally sent a raccoon flying into the distance, only to have it appear with a dozen friends on its back. We slept in a tent and they were clawing at for 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. I can't. That's a terrifying story. Like, it's hilarious, obviously, now. But at the time, you're probably just confused and a little indignant, I think, is how I would probably feel about it. Because you're like, what is wrong with these animals? Like, why would they be that aggressive? Did they think you had their young? I mean, my goodness. Oh, possum is good cooking. When I moved to my apartment in central Madrid in the summer, I lifted my bag up and a miniature lizard came running out. I had the shock of my life. Oh, I love lizards. I keep trying to make my backyard as like inviting to lizards as possible. I have all kinds of little skinks and little guys running around. They're so cute. Unfortunately, that also attracts the roadrunners, which I also like, but they're, turns out they eat lizards, so. Sorry, I'm totally stalled on this project at the moment. Alright, well, maybe we can paint us up some tentacles. Maybe that's how I'll decide what I want to do. I will just stall this. Pumpkin pie. So let's bust out with a little bit of this sanguine base. Very dark color. And we'll just go ahead and put that on one of the tentacles. Bloop. So do you guys have any plans for the New Year's? Is there even going to be a ball dropping or anything like that here in the U.S.? I haven't even checked on it. I'm just sort of, I'm likely to play video games, maybe hang out online with my brothers. It's kind of started our own little, like, occasional gaming nights where we play the freaky Phasmophobia game that I don't know why I let them talk me into. And, other than that, like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like there's much of interest to do. I just have work every time I turn around. Doop, doop. I don't have to work on the first, at least not at my paying job. Alright, I like that color. That's a nice one. We'll go with that. We'll keep it. We had a snake in my brother's old apartment slither out from under a sink. That was a hell of a thing. I will take a snake over spiders. Spiders freak me out, and cockroaches also freak me out worse than spiders, and then centipedes worst of all. I hate centipedes. They terrify me because they're invincible, it turns out. And so once you can't kill something, they become the scariest thing in the world. Whereas snakes, I usually have to restrain myself from just wanting to pick it up because that's what I did a lot as a kid. It was really good that we had a lot of garden snakes around because, yeah, probably, I don't know. You grow up rurally, it's interesting what is normal to you. All right, we're gonna bring on this necrotite green. I'm gonna wash down this tentacle, but I want to put that beautiful green on. I freaking love this green. Probably one of my favorite colors in the whole set. All right, let's get some pretty green on here. And in the new year, painting just some tentacles. Seems appropriate somehow. Remember to still telling the truth, but I love those adorable reactions. That is really wild. Remember to always move your house spiders outside. Gotta keep from domesticating them. Yeah, spiders this is a no-go zone. Spiders, if they're near the door, I might let them go out, but otherwise I'm probably going to kill it. You know, gotta send a message. Ooh, tentacles. Frick, centipedes suck. They are the worst. New Year's is the FOMO holiday. Nobody has any plans until that afternoon. And everybody is over at that one person's house. Huh, okay. They gotta drop the New Year's ball. They already put up the Christmas tree in Times Square, so they'll do the ball, no doubt. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably. Ball with no witnesses. Except for the people who snuck out to go see it, undoubtedly. So I recognize that this is extremely bright. You know, there's just this beautiful bright tentacle here just hanging out, saying what's up. But that's fine, because the black wash makes everything look right. I mean, yeah. I know some of you don't need it. Poison everywhere. What? I hate centipedes and spiders too. Yeah. Millipedes are practically puppies when compared to the fiends that are centipedes. Yeah, I had like a 6-inch long one in my house a few years ago, and a ninja sword was required to bisect it and finally end its reign. It was became very, very scared girl in that moment. Something just so alien about them. It's like they've got these stingers on both ends. One of our bug guys who came out to spray claimed that they don't have growth inhibitors. And I don't know if he wasn't just trying to scare us, but I believe him. It's like there's like some 200-year-old centipede somewhere the size of a person. It's like that'll be the discovery of 2021. I love that green. Oh my gosh. Night, Brian. Have a good one, man. Does Australia have giant centipedes? Ugh. Are there house centipedes in Albuquerque? Yeah, they're horrible big centipedes that come. If you don't like keep your grass trimmed, they'll come into your house. I don't have grass, so they come into my house anyway. Bastards. If they don't, I suggest we not introduce them to the environment there. If a New Year's ball falls, but nobody's around to see it, is there a New Year? It's just, have you seen the meme where, you know, everybody's waiting on December 31st and you see the calendar like December 31st, 11:59 p.m. and everyone's all excited, and then the next shot is like 13/01/2020, so like the 13th month. Instead of rolling into 2021, we just continue 2020. It's just that disappointed face. Centipedes. I kill, then I calm down. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one with this completely appropriate reaction to them. In England, there's apparently a ton of secret NYE parties being arranged. It's like setting up sound systems in derelict warehouses and stuff. In America, we call them raves. I don't think they do, but I suspect they deliver specks of poison with every step, and they run over your skin. And they're so light, like you could be sleeping and they would crawl over your face and you'd never know it. Oh, terrifying. All right. Oh man, I've got this cool cobra. I feel like that cobra should also be this cool green. But I already painted that other end. I'm running out of colors. Let's try this orange. I missed that meme, we shall see, right? Alright, there's enough talk of centipedes on this chat. Quite done with that. Just waiting for that to be. Hopefully not my problem in the new year. You know, this reminds me of butternut squash. It's like that exact color of butternut squash. Alright, we'll paint this tentacle here in this color. I'm obviously going about it with no rhyme or reason. Wait a minute, this doesn't look like tentacles. These look like spider legs. Ooh, spooky. What is coming out of this thing? Maybe 2020 will get a 13th month added, like the Zodiac was discovered to have. I had to step away to blend my cake topping and apply it. Now it's time to eat this awful concoction. Whatever, I know you love it, it's fine. It's just the rest of us who are horrified at just the idea of putting stuff in a cake. It's fine, to each his own. So this is like an orange spider leg I'm basically painting. Or maybe it's like a shredder leg, some sort of critter from Legion. Although I don't think that the Grymkin are terribly interested in whatever the Legion are doing. Like, I guess the dragons have existed prior to Menoth. Potentially. Turok, I think, is the oldest known god. Dunia may supersede him, but Dunia's special. Oh, these spooky things coming out of this cool thing. 13 minutes left, guys. So we know we've got a Boba Fett coming along. Sounds like that cake is done, so nice job, Samuel. Since they're basically the centipede millipede monster, nightmare monster of 40K. Ugh. Amen, Sarah, thank you. Now, to give this creepy mini some ichor color. I know. Just, this is how I tend to cell phone myself. Well, thanks for being here, Mensour Reviews. Appreciate it. Got a few minutes left here in our chat. We're just getting some colorful items here in her cauldron. I really got super fixated on oh my gosh, what's her name again? Super fixated on Agrona as opposed to Hydron, the younger chick. So far is progress. Ta-da! Some facial features-ish. Need to get the gray on there. Need to paint the neck. Other things are painted, this tentacle business, for example. And then I still haven't decided on her pretty apron color. That she has ruffles. I really want to accentuate that, so. Jade Dog, welcome! Thank you. Oh my god, this cake is awesome. I will take your word for it. Yeah, I fear the appeals from the government are not necessarily appearing where the most irresponsible folks are looking. Oh, really? I'll have to check that out. It's weird if it's not working. Alright, well. I do want more of a... Don't like that orange. No, I'm not doing it. One thing I have noticed with these paints is you want to take both hands and close them, because if you get lazy and use one hand, it might flip out of your hand and spill everywhere on stream, as a former employee of Privateer watches and laughs at you, so. Anyway, well, we know that's wooden, so we'll go to my other favorite color within the Privateer P3 line, which is this Blood Tracker Brown. This freaking color covers so nicely, and it's such a great base for everything. Looks like a magic heavy army. It's not, actually. Like, Grymkin have... They have a lot of synergy army, you know, or synergy strength. So they'll collect corpses and they become stronger for that, but you've got to send dudes out to first just, you know, melee or murder something first. But they've got a lot of traditional fighting tactics. Like Circle uses a lot of magic, and Legion uses a lot of magic, and those are actually not really the types of armies that appeal to me as much. I'm more of a bludgeon your enemy to death kind of gal. But The Grymkin are also sort of sneaky. They, trying to think of a good example, but they've got a lot of fun stuff going for them. So that'll be metal, but the handle will be wooden. And then the bindings, I guess they can also be metal. Sounds good. Adept is ridiculous. Welcome to the chat. What did you miss? Oh, some terrifying conversation about centipedes. What did we talk about? Magnetizing? Gosh, we haven't even talked about any movies lately. I decided to spend my time watching more making of documentaries. But I think I'm going to rewatch Sleepy Hollow. We were watching the costuming making of portion of Sleepy Hollow yesterday, and that was really good. So, found it inspiring for some other 2021 projects. Let's see, so that I believe is just wrapped. So we will put the brown in between. Doop, doop, doop. Everyone should wish me a happy anniversary. This is the 31st wedding anniversary, hence the scrumptious wedding egg. Oh my gosh, Samuel, happy anniversary. 31 years, that's awesome. Well, congratulations to the both of yous. Alright, I'm literally painting details because I haven't found the color I want to put on Agora. Wow, you should see what's gonna happen real soon. I love Sleepy Hollow, the Johnny Depp movie. Yeah. Check out the early 1980s, made for the TV version, starring Jeff Goldblum. Was he Ichabod Crane? Fun and random fact, my older brother was born in Sleepy Hollow, a fact that he's quite proud of. I, on the other hand, was born elsewhere, a few miles away. Grymkin needs more heavies. I almost consider a clockatrice. Clockatrice is a really strong light. I don't know, man. Like, it's got some hitboxes to really keep it up. And with something like the freaking sacrifice ability, it's really powerful. Clockatrice is an amazing model. And I believe that was an answer to the need for more heavies, because otherwise you're really coming in with more skin and moans, which is probably their best heavy still. Well, Clockatrice is really amazing though. So between the two of them, you're doing all right. Cage Rager is okay, but he's so slow. Like, you're really sort of dealing with Kador's stats without much way of pushing them like Kador has. And guess what? There's going to be a tidal wave of new, old coming together real soon. All right. Sounds good. Fun and random fact. For some reason, there is a small community in my county called Sleep Holly, nestled in an isolated little valor on the other side of a hill next to my house. Oh, Sleepy Hollow. Okay. Huh. Well, there you go. Hey, Patrick. How are you doing? This you didn't know you're streaming? Yeah, I'm doing every other week. So tonight and then 2 weeks into the new year, almost. So we'll have a good sense of, how things are going so far. Thank you, Jake. You take care, man. Coming to this channel really soon. Okay. All right. Down Adeptus Ridiculous. Let's see what you're up to. There's a patent that I'm working on, a prototype. Okay. All right, so I know it's not technically 9, but I think I'm pretty much done. I have gotten extremely little done, so, kudos to me, I guess. We're gonna end the new year off with a whimper and not a bang. But I like those colors that I've got on there, so at least I know I don't have to replace anything on there. And then her her twin sister, Tigran, she has some skin. And that's about it. But she's got quite a lovely little outfit going on. Some nice ruffle trim, as you'll see, which I want to take out the decoration for. Carrying a nice little butcher knife. And her hair has a great texture to it. I look forward to getting that done up as well. And then a chalice, which I feel needs some gold trim. I think that will be ideal for her, you know, to be this very inviting poison chalice, you know. So I'm sorry, I'll check the link on myself after this too, because I don't know why I would be doing that. That is an official link I have. And well, no, it is loading for me. I don't know. Are you always right-clicking it, or are you just clicking it? Because I don't know if that might be better. But I don't know. Again, it's treating you differently than it's treating everyone else. I really like the purple-green combo. Yeah, it's got kind of a cool thing going, right? Lots of detail done, which is always time sink. Yeah, they are great minis. All right, well, you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys also got some hobbying done. I got to recenter, which definitely feels nice, and to refocus. And, you know, let's hope we go into this new year with a little more positivity and, you know, make it happen. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you around. See ya.